welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. Now, if you've just seen in the previous clip are some images of different species of insects that actually you cannot find anywhere in the world, but only here in Vietnam. Now, these very recent and new discoveries are all thanks to a group of many scientists led by Dr. Luca Bartolozzi. Dr. Bartolozzi is a leading entomologist at the Museum of Natural History under the University of Florence. And now this is the largest natural history museum in the whole of Italy and one of the most prevalent in the world. We're very lucky to have Dr. Bartolozzi here in our show today to share more about his entomological expeditions over the past 4 years, to learn more about the rich fauna and also the rich biodiversity that is the insect world here in Vietnam. Do join me in welcoming Dr. Bartolozzi.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. How are you today?
I'm fine. A little bit tired because we are just back from the jungle.
Yes.
But I'm okay. Thank you.
You're wrapping up your 2-week expedition, and this is your 5th one.
Yes.
In Vietnam over the past, 4 years, since 2010. We've just seen in the previous clip some of the images of the prominent species that have been found over the past 4 years here in Vietnam.
Yes.
Can you share with us some of the species that stuck to mind, some of the more prominent ones?
Yes, we only know a small part of the creatures living around us, and insects are 2/3 of the living organism of this planet.
Really? 2/3?
Yes,
wow.
And we think that we know maybe 1/10 of the insects living on Earth. So there is a lot of work to do, especially in tropical countries which are so rich of insect fauna.
It seems to be a very exciting field of study to know that you have so much to discover.
Exactly, and I like very much my job.
Yes, going back to the, we talked about some of the species that actually cannot be found anywhere in the world, but only here in Vietnam. Can you name one or two of the ones?
My main goal is to study beetles because I am a specialist in some beetle families. Of course, I am a specialist of one family of beetles, and I try to find as much as possible in that family. The Latin name of this family is Lucanidae, but nothing to do with my name, which is Luca.
Luca.
Lucanidae has another meaning. But the vernacular name is stag beetles. Stag beetles because they have long mandibles like horns. And if you want, I can show you one.
Oh, yes, you brought some.
This is a common species living in Tam Dao.
Yes.
Lucanus planet is the Latin name of that insect. And I studied this family. There are about 1,700 different species in the planet.
Wow.
But new ones are being discovered every year.
Yes.
And I love this family. Sometimes love for insects is difficult to explain, but I always loved this family. And it's a strange family because the males that you can see here are totally different from the females.
So the two here are both males?
Are both males of the same species.
Of the same species.
Sometimes there is a big difference in size.
Yes.
Between large males and small males.
So this could be considered, if I may, this one here, maybe a teenager?
No, it's not a teenager. It's an adult like this one.
Yes.
Simply
Just
the larva was eating less,
okay.
so developing less at the end.
All
It
right.
cannot grow anymore. This is very important. And
Yeah.
the females are totally different. And you can see that the main difference is these large, long mandibles.
Yes.
So
mandibles?
one can ask why males have so large mandibles and females have not. Because males are fighters and they fight one against the other for the female.
They have to impress the girls.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Have to have flashier accessories to fight. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, that's wonderful. So this is, kind of just one of the amazing discoveries or research that you have been doing here in Vietnam. The insect world, as you say, seems to be very fascinating. As you said, it's 2/3 of the entire fauna in the world, and there's still so much more to discover. What are some of the, interesting facts or things about insects that, normal people might not really know about?
When you speak about insect with somebody, the first impression is negative. Insects are ugly and dirty. I don't like them.
Yes.
But because people connected the name insects with cockroaches or flies or mosquitoes, but this is just a very, very small part of the insects world. You have wonderful insects. Just think to butterflies. Butterflies sometimes are really beautiful. And also beetles can be colorful and amazing.
And maybe they might not even know the benefits of some of these insects.
Of course, because the insects are part of a chain of living organisms which are connected one to each other. And if you break this chain, a ring of this chain, all the ecosystem will collapse. So it's very important to save the insects.
They may be small, but as you say, they are a very important link.
Extremely important.
Let's go back to the very beginning, this passion for entomology, this passion for the world of insects. How did it begin for you?
Oh, I started very early. I was a child and I was crazy about the animals around my house. So I collected frogs, snakes, lizards, and I took everything at home, and my mother was not happy at all. She was really unhappy. But she tolerated because she saw that I was so happy with my little pets. And I started the study of insects later at the university. So I already started in a professional way. But I remember that there was a little newspaper for young entomologists in Italy, and they make a little prize for a little article written by a young entomologist. So I wrote an article, I sent them, and I won. Oh. And the prize was a couple of stag beetles.
Oh,
and I
really?
was so fascinated by this insect, and I decided, okay, this is my family. I want to study these beetles, and that's why I'm here now.
And they look really cool. They look like miniature,
yes,
you know.
And they're very popular among amateurs also, because Japanese collectors are crazy about this insect. They love them.
Now, we talked about kind of the general, more bigger picture of the world of insects, but how about here in Vietnam? How is the insect world here in Vietnam different from the places that you've been visiting? How is it more diverse or less diverse? Or?
When I came first time to Vietnam, I was very curious about the fauna of this country. Of course, I knew about literature, something about this country before, but I was impressed by the richness of the insect fauna living in this country. And the reason is that you have a very long country going from north to south, very biodiverse and diverse in climate, humidity, rainfall, and so on, and vegetation. And of course, the world of the insects is connected to the environment. Yes. And if the environmental conditions change, also the species living there will change. And our job is to discover the connections with the ecosystem and the insects, and to discover the species living in every part of your wonderful country. I am a happy person because my job is also my passion, and gives me the opportunity to travel a lot all around the world. But one of my favorite countries is now Vietnam.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us more about the differences in terms of biodiversity in the insect world in Vietnam. I believe that Vietnam is one of the biodiversity hotspots in the world.
Exactly. There are many hotspots of biodiversity all around the world, but every hotspot has its peculiarities. And for instance, for the family that I study, the stag beetles, Vietnam is very rich. On the contrary, other countries are rich in other families and not in that one. So I was particularly excited to visit Vietnam and to find the species of the group that I prefer, of course.
To put the biodiversity more into perspective, can you give us kind of a rough comparison, maybe between, you know, say Italy and Vietnam in terms of the number of insects? Or
Yes, in Italy we have around more or less 20,000 different species of insects, which is not bad.
Wow.
Because Italy is like Vietnam. It's a very long country, and in Vietnam you have more or less the same, but you are a tropical country. So the main difference is that in Italy we have winter and cold winter, which is very bad for the insects. They don't
Yes.
like cold.
Of course.
This is the reason why in tropical countries there are much more species. So I suspect that in Vietnam you have 10 times more
Wow.
species than in Italy, at least.
Talk us through the process of one of your expeditions. I mean, how does it work? Where do you find these insects, considering that they're so small and they're probably most of the time hiding somewhere?
There are several techniques to collect insects. Some are during the day, so you can look on the branches, on the trees, on the leaves, in the soil litter of the forest. And the other techniques are during the night, because the advantage is that many insects are attracted by artificial light, so they fly to the light,
Yes.
which is more easy for us because we don't have to run after insects, but they
You just
come,
hold the light
they
up.
come to us. Then you collect the specimens that you want to study. You take them to the lab and you start studying them. You have to set them properly with the entomological technique, and after that you have to identify them. And this is the most difficult part, because you need to know the literature which has
Yes.
been published before into 2 centuries of literature all around the world.
Yes.
So you must be a specialist of a group and to know what has been told and written before. And then if nobody described that species, you know that it's a new species.
Yes,
So you can
really.
describe it on a scientific paper. And when the paper will be published, the species will have the name that you decide to give to the specimen.
Really? Wow.
So it's quite
So-
the first one, the first new species that you find is very exciting.
Yes, can you tell us about your first one?
Oh, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
During my life, I found, I think, 260 new species.
Wow.
Not only in Vietnam, of course, but all around the
All
world.
around the world. During their 2-week stay here in Vietnam, Dr. Bartolozzi and his colleagues also stayed in Cúc Phương National Park for 2 days, and this is about 120 kilometers south of the capital city of Hanoi. Our reporters trekked along in order to learn more about their research. We'll take a look in the following.
On this trip to Cúc Phương National Park, Luca, Bartolozzi and his partners spent 2 days collecting different species of insects in the forest. The daytime collecting was done using beating trays, sweeping nets, butterfly nets, and hand-picking bucks of trees, leaves, and flowers. He spent hours searching and found several specimens he would take away for further study.
This is a stick insect. They live usually on branches or leaves. They don't fly, but you see the wings are reduced, and so they cannot escape from predators. There are many different species in Vietnam. Some are small, some are larger, like this. This is a medium size.
These insects will be stored and preserved in alcohol for further study by these entomologists once they return to Italy. They will separate the different species in different jars and send the material to specialists around the world to identify them. After the first memorandum of understanding between the Museum of Natural History of the University of Florence and the Vietnam National Museum of Nature dedicated to expedition work in the northern part of Vietnam was signed in 2010, a second and third were also agreed to extend the work to central and southern regions of Vietnam.
Because we realized that Vietnam is a real treasure under the point of view of biodiversity and particularly of insects, which is only partially explored. I hope that we will able to give a real great contribution to the knowledge of the fauna of this beautiful country.
With that in mind, these entomologists have to endure the tropical climate and the risk of being bitten by leeches and mosquitoes as they gather as much information about the nation's biodiversity as possible. Despite these challenges, it does not deter them from devoting their time to expedition work.
Ông và các đồng nghiệp là rất là chịu khó. Mặc dù điều kiện khí hậu ở bên đó thì ở bên châu Âu thì người ta mát, nhưng sang đây đặc biệt là sang vào mùa hè, tháng 5 6 rất là nắng, làm ban ngày cũng như làm đêm. Thời gian làm việc có thể đến 14-15 tiếng một ngày, chưa thậm chí không thời gian ăn hoặc ăn rất đơn giản để mà dành cái thời gian đi làm việc. Thì tôi thấy là đấy là những cái mà thái độ làm việc của họ rất là nghiêm túc và nhiệt tình.
During the expedition, special emphasis was placed on investigating several groups of insects, so a malaise trap and a gnat trap were set up to target flying insects as they are much harder to catch using nets and other traps. But working in the tropics means it can rain at any time, and they significantly affected their findings.
It's normal sometimes in the tropics to have rain during the night, but usually when it rains it's not so easy to work. For me it's a fantastic job, but I suppose that 90% of the people would hate this job under the rain and sometimes very hot weather, a lot of insects staying on you, on yourself, but for a biologist it's the paradise.
With a passion for entomology, Dr. Luca Bartolozzi and his partners return to Vietnam every year for expeditions, and they will continue their studies in this biodiversity paradise to gain a better understanding of the tropical world of insects.
Now tell us about this kind of recent trip to Cô Phương. How was it?
It was nice. We were not very lucky the last night because it was bad weather. So our night trip was not successful
It was
because
raining.
we had heavy rain. But for me, the forest of Cuc Phuong is the best one that I have seen for the moment in Vietnam.
Oh, really?
It's a huge, wonderful forest. I fall in love with that forest.
Yes.
It's huge and beautiful. I'm planning to go again to Cuc Phuong because I need to spend at least a week or 10 days to explore the fauna, because to be an entomologist it's a long job. You must be patient and spend many days in the same place if you want to have a good idea. You cannot find all the insects, but you can have a good idea if you spend several days.
Exactly. Tell us, you just mentioned that you need patience. What other requirements do you need for an expedition in terms of equipment, your team?
Of course, when I organize an expedition, I'm always careful to find the right team of colleagues, because when you spend 2 or 3 weeks with somebody, you must be sure that you have a good time with the colleagues. And after that, you have to prepare all the stuff which is necessary for the research, the permits and so on. One thing that we are always very careful is the right period.
Yes.
So the best period is the best period, not for us, but for the insects.
For the insects,
Sometimes it's wet and hot, which is not good for the researcher, but good for insects.
Yes.
The second thing is the moon, because we must always go during the period when there is no moon, because for the night traps it's very important that the light that you use is the only strong light. If we have the full moon, it doesn't work.
Yes, because then the light is dispersed.
Exactly. So these are simple things, but we must always remember this.
I'll go back now to some of the research that you did during this trip. In Cô Phương, you didn't have that favorable weather, but in other places, in the whole of the 2-week expedition here in Vietnam, did you find anything interesting this time that you could share with us?
Oh yes, I think that in Bac Ma, we collected very interesting small beetles, very small, 3 millimeters.
Really? It's
But
like tiny.
they live in the soil litter in the forest. They are without wings, so they cannot fly, because most of the beetles are able to fly. And if a beetle cannot fly, it means that it's usually he can live only in a very restricted area. And these very tiny beetles were living on the top of the Bakma mountain at 1,400 meters. So I'm almost sure there are new species. And I looked very carefully in the soil litter, which means that you have to spend hours under the sunshine, because if they don't move, you cannot see them. Maybe people think that I'm crazy because I spend hours looking at a white sheet with some ground on it. And people are very curious. They come to see and they don't understand what I am doing.
You have spent a lot of time working here, and as you said, moments like that where you're just sitting there looking at a pile of dirt, trying to look for that one beetle. Can you share with us some of the memories that you've had working here in Vietnam, these different expeditions, going to forests that you've never been to before, looking at pile of dirt that you've never seen before?
But I can say a funny thing that happened once. We were doing a night catch, with a night trap with a strong bulb near the road. And many insects were coming. It was a very good night for collecting. And also many grasshoppers, big grasshoppers, yes, which were a little bit disturbing us because there were too many. And suddenly a motorbike was passing on the road with two ladies, a lady with her daughter. She saw all the grasshoppers and she said, she asked us the permission to collect the grasshoppers. And she said, yes, thank you very much if you collect the grasshoppers for us. And after we discovered, she collected a lot of them, more than 1 kilo. And then we discovered that this was for eating. She was ready to cook the grasshoppers, yes, and to eat them. We didn't know this.
It's a delicacy in Vietnam.
Yes, but we didn't know. So it was really a surprise for us, and she was so happy. We took a picture of her, very smiley and happy.
With a kilo of
yes,
grasshopper.
Yes, this is very funny to remember.
Yes.
Today, young researchers Nguyễn Quang Thái and Đỗ Mạnh Cương are meeting with Dr. Luca Bartolozzi to hand him a number of paratypes or specimens used in the description of a new species. The Italian professor will give these beetle paratypes, which belong to the Coleoptera order under the Lucanidae family, to top museums across Europe and the world. For almost 2 years, Thái has been receiving support from Dr. Bartolozzi during his research of new species called Neolucanius Bảo Ngọc E, found in Lâm Đồng province.
Ông rất là nhiệt tình, ông giúp đỡ. Ông có mẫu thì ông chụp mẫu, có cần những cái nghiên cứu về những tài liệu, có những tài liệu là cũng công bố hàng trăm năm rồi. Và ông có sẵn sàng là ông bỏ thời gian ông tìm lại những cái tài liệu đấy có thể xuất bản bằng tiếng Pháp, tiếng Ý. Đấy, thì tiếng Tây Ban Nha. Bây giờ có thậm chí có những đoạn mà không viết bằng tiếng Anh thì mình còn có thể nhờ ông, mà ông không biết, ông lại nhờ bạn bè của ông là ông dịch lại cho mình.
In 2012, Thái began studying the Lucanidae family of beetles. He faced lots of difficulties at first because no one in Vietnam had studied this family closely before. Thái sent emails to top foreign scientists in the field to ask for help, and Dr. Bartolozzi was the only one to offer help.
Tôi chứng kiến toàn bộ quá trình mà hai thầy trò trao đổi rồi phát hiện loài mới rồi công bố loài. Thì phải nói là rất là hiếm gặp một cái chuyên gia hàng đầu thế giới nào mà lại chịu khó tiếp chuyện hoặc là quan tâm mà để giúp đỡ một cái người mà vừa mới quen, vừa mới bắt đầu cái ngành của mình thì là cái đấy là một cái điều rất là đáng quý.
One of the reasons Dr. Bartolozzi agreed to help Thái is because he often travels to Vietnam. Since 2010, his employer, the Natural History Museum, under the University of Florence, has been cooperating with the Vietnam National Museum of Nature to research insect biodiversity via field trips.
Mỗi lần thực địa là đều thu thập được một số lượng lớn các cái mẫu về côn trùng. Thì sau khi về người ta phân loại giám định thì người ta mới ra được một số loài côn trùng mới. Thế thì cái việc mà để bảo tồn cũng như bảo vệ cái côn trùng, tính đa dạng sinh học côn trùng ở Việt Nam đó là điều rất cần thiết. Và cái này thì nhờ cái sự hợp tác quốc tế với các nước thì đây nó sẽ phát triển được rất là mạnh.
Vietnam is very interesting for its biodiversity. You find a contrast between areas under heavy pressure for agriculture, for instance, and some beautiful areas where conservation is very well done. So this is exactly the core of our interest for Vietnam, to keep this area as a model to measure the possibility to preserve biodiversity in some spotted areas in order to give the future generations the possibility to enjoy of the biodiversity.
The Vietnam National Museum of Nature under the Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology planned to sign a new memorandum of understanding with the Natural History Museum under the University of Florence in 2016 to expand their fields of research to other areas beyond entomology. Founded in 1775, the Italian museum is one of the biggest of its kind in the world and currently houses over 8 million different artifacts.
Now, in the previous report, we saw a kind of a meeting, a session between your museum, the Museum of Natural History under the University of Florence, along with the leaders of the Vietnam National Museum of Nature here. What are some of the potential for cooperation in the future between these two museums of our two nations?
Probably the new memorandum of understanding between our two institutions will enlarge the field of common researches in other fields. I mean, maybe geology or paleontology or other group of animals or plants, because the cooperation for the moment was very successful. And the entomology will continue, but probably new fields will be open in the near future.
Exactly. And now, also in this report, we learned about one of your Vietnamese colleagues, a younger colleague. His name is Nguyễn Quang Thái, and you helped him on the description of a new species called the Neolucanus, also of the same family.
Exactly.
Of the stag beetles. And this was discovered in Núi Bà National Park in the Central Highland province of Lâm Đồng. And this was later on actually published in the Zootaxa, the New Zealand publication of new insects and new animals in the world. And this was back in November 2013. Can you share more about this process of helping the younger colleagues here in Vietnam to basically push forward in this field of entomology?
I'm very happy when I can help young researchers because I have a little bit more experience than them, so I can give them good suggestions how to write the paper, what to tell and what to tell in a different way, and especially supplying them with literature. Sometimes it's not easy to find very old papers written maybe in the 18th century or 19th century, and I try to send them the photocopies and so they can work well.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I was proud for my friend and colleague.
Yes. How was the process of working with your colleagues here at the Vietnam National Museum of Nature? How has it been working with them?
Very, very good. We had never had problems. On the contrary, the collaboration was perfect. I think that they have a great potential, and I think that the future of taxonomy is the science to give names to the living organisms, because there is a decline of taxonomy in many countries, because now people prefer genetics or biochemical things, and taxonomy is seen like something old-fashioned. Yes. But I think it's extremely important, because if you cannot work with an organism if you don't know its name,
Exactly.
And so I think that the young generation, especially in countries like Vietnam, has a great potential in this field.
Now, talking about training, in the following report, we'll take a look at a workshop that Dr. Bartolozzi held at the Casa Italia, which is a cultural center for Italy here in Hanoi, where he talks more about his discoveries and his research process here in Vietnam. So let's have a look at that.
Dr. Luca Bartolozzi was the main speaker at the seminar titled Exploring Vietnam's Biodiversity, Insects, and his audience were none other than his friends and colleagues. Dr. Bartolozzi presented part of the results of the 4 field trips conducted between 2010 and 2013 to study insects in Vietnam, a joint research project between his museum and the Vietnam National Museum of Nature. Though short, the professor's presentation impressed the audience. Among them was Dr. Phạm Quỳnh Mai, who was meeting Dr. Bartolozzi for the first time following email correspondence.
Công tác nghiên cứu côn trùng của chúng tôi thì là nó là phải đi vào thiên nhiên, vào tự nhiên, thì cái khó khăn nhất là phải đi điều tra, đặc biệt là phải vào rừng sâu, núi cao thì nó có những mới phát hiện những cái loài mới. Đấy, theo như cái báo cáo của ông ấy là 9 điểm ở phía Bắc Việt Nam. Và tôi cũng khâm phục cái gọi là cái say sưa, cái nhiệt huyết về công việc của ông ấy.
Là người nước ngoài sang, cái điều kiện khí hậu rồi sinh hoạt nó rất là khác biệt, nhưng mà các ông ấy vẫn lặn lội đêm hôm rừng sâu, không chỉ ngày mà còn đêm nữa, bởi vì là ví dụ như cái nhóm mà bướm đêm ấy, hoặc là các cái côn trùng đêm ấy thì rất là nhiều, nó chiếm đến khoảng 90%. Ví dụ bướm ngày thì nó chỉ khoảng 10% thôi, nhưng bướm đêm thì nó có đến 90%. Và như vậy là muốn mà khảo sát được hết thì không chỉ ngày mà phải đêm nữa. Mà ban ngày đi vào những cái địa hình hiểm trở như thế thì cũng đã rất là khó khăn. Mà đây lại còn đi đêm nữa. Như thế là các ông đi được rất là nhiều và nghiên cứu được rất là những cái loài rất là lạ.
Vietnam is one of the 16 hotspots of biodiversity in the world. Talking about insects alone, Vietnam is home to some 10,000 known species, mainly found in primary and secondary forests. Scientists estimate that there are actually over 50,000 species, the majority of which remain undiscovered due to a shortage of researchers. Many insects endemic to Vietnam are listed in the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species and the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Scientists have warned that many insect species might go extinct due to forest destruction even before they can be discovered and named.
Now, in our studio today, we also have the privilege of welcoming into our talk Dr. Vũ Văn Liên. He's the Vice Director of the Vietnam National Museum of Nature under the Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology. And he's here to talk more about the rich fauna and the biodiversity of the insect world here in Vietnam, but also the cooperation between Italy and Vietnam in this field, particularly the museum which Dr. Bartolozzi is working for, and also the Museum of Nature here in Vietnam. So do join me in welcoming Dr. Liên. Xin cảm ơn tiến sĩ đã dành thời gian để có thể tham gia chương trình. Xin tiến sĩ có thể chia sẻ một chút về cái ngạch nghiên cứu của tiến sĩ được không ạ?
Vâng. Tôi nghiên cứu côn trùng từ năm 1993 đến nay. Thì chủ yếu tập trung ở một số nhóm côn trùng cánh vẩy, trong đó có bướm ngày và một số nhóm bướm đêm. Thì bên cạnh cái nghiên cứu về thành phần loài thì tôi cũng còn tiến hành nghiên cứu một số cái nghiên cứu về sinh態học, về bảo tồn cũng như là nghiên cứu về sinh học. Và đó là những cái lĩnh vực cũng rất quan trọng trong việc bảo tồn tài nguyên thiên nhiên nói chung và bảo tồn côn trùng nói riêng.
Tiến sĩ có thể chia sẻ thêm về trong đa dạng sinh học của Việt Nam thì côn trùng đóng vai trò như thế nào?
Cái số lượng loài côn trùng hiện nay là tới hơn 900 nghìn loài. Tuy nhiên cái số này nó cũng chỉ là một con số rất nhỏ so với những loài hiện còn chưa phát hiện. Theo dự đoán có thể lên tới 2 đến 30 triệu loài côn trùng. Tuy vậy, những loài côn trùng gây hại thì chúng chỉ chiếm rất nhỏ, chỉ khoảng 0,1%. Còn lại là có lợi và vô hại. Tôi có thể lấy ví dụ như theo thống kê năm 2009 thì trên toàn thế giới thì cái lợi ích của côn trùng mang lại cho các cây trồng nông nghiệp là khoảng 153 tỷ euro trên toàn thế giới. Tức là côn trùng mang thụ phấn cho thực vật mang lại cái lợi ích như thế. Và ở Mỹ thì hàng năm thì côn trùng thụ phấn cho thực vật mang lại cái lợi ích khoảng từ 14,6 đến 15 tỷ đô la trong một năm. Thì phải nói là đối với cây trồng thì có khoảng 75% tổng số loài cây trồng thụ phấn là nhờ đến côn trùng.
Như tiến sĩ vừa nói thì là có rất là nhiều những cái lợi ích của côn trùng mà có lẽ là nhiều người không biết đến. Vậy thì cái tầm quan trọng của việc bảo tồn côn trùng là như thế nào ạ?
Thì quan trọng nhất là bảo tồn cái hệ sinh thái, bảo tồn được cái sinh cảnh tự nhiên, đó chính là bảo tồn được rừng cũng như là môi trường sống của chúng.
Dr. Bartolozzi, can you share some of your thoughts on this process, particularly here in Vietnam? What needs to be done more in terms of conservation work?
I think that the main problem here is the growth of the population and the need of new ground for cultivation and the need of wood for domestic use and so on. And the only solution is to protect as much as possible the natural areas, the still remaining natural areas.
Is there any experience, say, from Italy that Vietnam could possibly learn from in this regard?
I think that the experience could be that there is a special kind of tourism that must be encouraged. It's sustainable tourism. I mean ecotourism.
Yes.
This is the right way, because ecotourism is made by people who has a special sensibility towards the natural environment, and they bring money with the tourism without destroying or creating problems to the habitat.
Phát triển du lịch sinh thái thì mang lại nguồn lợi ích chính cho những người dân bản địa. Riêng bảo tồn ở Việt Nam so với các nước châu Âu, với một số nước khác thì mình sẽ phức tạp hơn rất nhiều. Bởi vì người dân hàng ngàn đời thì cuộc sống của họ từ đời ông đời cha dựa vào rừng để sinh sống, từ săn bắn rồi là lấy mật ong rồi là lấy gỗ làm nhà. Nhưng mà do khi điều kiện kinh tế phát triển thì cũng kéo theo là cái nhu cầu sử dụng các sản phẩm nông nghiệp từ rừng, rồi lâm sản là gỗ cũng như là gỗ rất nhiều. Đấy. Do vậy mà như Luca nói, nếu mà phát triển được cái vấn đề du lịch sinh thái thì làm sao mang lại cái lợi ích chính là phải cho người dân, và những người dân ở khu bảo tồn hoặc là gần khu bảo tồn, người ta được tham gia vào việc tổ chức cũng như là tổ chức khai thác du lịch sinh thái thì mang lại nguồn lợi cho họ. Thì qua đó thì họ thấy bảo vệ rừng chính là nguồn sống, chính là nguồn sống của họ. Nếu phá rừng thì mất nguồn sống. Thì tôi nghĩ việc đó là việc rất là hay.
Xin tiến sĩ có thể chia sẻ thêm là thời đầu thì tiến sĩ đã bắt đầu cộng tác với tiến sĩ Luca như thế nào ạ?
Chúng tôi cũng bản thân tôi rất là may mắn được làm việc với tiến sĩ Luca Bartolozzi, vì tiến sĩ Luca là một tiến sĩ đầu ngành, nhà khoa học côn trùng học đầu ngành về côn trùng học, đặc biệt về cái nhóm Luca, tức là nhóm cánh cứng cọc kìm đấy, gọi là bọ cọc kìm. Đấy, là một chuyên gia hàng đầu của thế giới. Thì tiến sĩ Luca rất là giỏi, rất là am hiểu, không những chỉ về họ mà của mình làm mà các họ khác. Hai nữa là về côn trùng cơ bản là tiến sĩ rất am hiểu rất nhiều. Và hai nữa là một người rất nhiệt tình. Mặc dù mấy chục năm lan lộn với rừng nhiệt đới nhưng mà khi vào rừng thì tiến sĩ đều thích thú, mặc dù thời tiết rất là nắng nóng, ẩm độ rất cao, muỗi nhiều, mát nhiều, nhưng mà tiến sĩ rất say mê. Đấy là một cái mà chúng tôi cảm thấy là học hỏi được ở tiến sĩ rất nhiều về cái phong cách, thái độ làm việc.
Trong quá trình làm việc với tiến sĩ thì anh có cái kỷ niệm gì không ạ?
Chúng tôi khi làm thăm đàn đêm thì bởi vì côn trùng ấy, có rất nhiều nhóm côn trùng là dẫn dụ ánh sáng. Khi ánh sáng đèn ấy, thì chúng tôi thắp đèn đêm thì côn trùng nó vào, ví dụ như là rất nhiều ngày, có khi nó bâu kín cả cái bẫy của chúng tôi, thậm chí là nó bám có kín hết mặt, rồi là quần áo, rồi nó chui cả vào người. Thì đấy, và kể cả bản thân tiến sĩ Luca cũng đã có nhiều lần như thế. Đấy là những lần mà phải nói là khó quên được, bởi vì thậm chí khi chúng tôi về chỗ nó ngủ, hôm sau dậy thấy ngay ở lưng ấy, trên giường đầy đấy côn trùng, rất là thú vị. Đấy là những cái mà
rất là nhiều kỷ niệm đáng nhớ.
I think that there is something similar between the Italian and the Vietnamese people.
Yes.
We like to smile, we are friendly, we are open, and that's why immediately we were in good relationships and friendship.
Yes. And you both share a deep passion for the world of insects.
This is the most important thing.
Yes. What is it that you wish for, the field of entomology here in Vietnam?
I hope to give my very little contribution to the creation of a new generation of taxonomists. Researchers living in the country can study and identify the species living in the same country. This is my wish for the future in Vietnam.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Bartolozzi. Xin cảm ơn rất là nhiều tiến sĩ Vũ Văn Liên đã tham gia với chương trình. Thank you both for coming here onto the show and sharing this wonderful passion that I myself did not know that Vietnam had such a rich fauna, rich biodiversity of insects that we should be very proud of and that we should conserve for the benefit of the biodiversity in our whole country. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that wraps up this edition of Talk Vietnam. I hope that you have found a new passion yourself for discovering more about the insects that are more interesting, as we have learned, than you might think. So do pay attention to the world around you, the world of wonderful nature that is the biodiversity of Vietnam. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you more next time here on Talk Vietnam. Goodbye.